Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty cool, the 7 Hermetic Principles.
Ooh, I like this one.
I know, right? Our source material for this is a YouTube video
Okay.
from a channel called The Hidden Library.
Okay.
And the video is titled, The 7 Hermetic Laws Explained in Details.
Catchy.
Yeah, very descriptive.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to approach these principles like it's, mystical stuff or anything like that.
Right.
We're going to look at them as practical tools.
I like that.
Yeah, for understanding the world better and even ourselves better.
I'm all about practical.
Yeah, so like tools that we can actually use in our lives.
Awesome.
So have you ever felt like life is just kind of happening to you?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're just adrift
For sure.
and you don't really have control over what's happening?
Absolutely.
Well, the Hermetic Principles suggest that we might have way more influence than we realize.
I like that.
Yeah. So let's start with the first principle, the all is mind. Whoa, right. This is also called mentalism, and it basically suggests that the universe is like a mental construct.
Yeah, think of it more like the power of your mind to
Uh-oh.
shape your experiences.
So it's not like we're in the Matrix or anything,
No.
but that our thoughts and beliefs can actually influence reality.
Yeah, I mean, the Hermetic teachings go a step further than the idea that, like, our thoughts can influence our feelings and our actions.
Mm.
They say that our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions can actually influence the fabric of reality itself.
Wow.
What we focus on, we create.
That is a powerful thought.
It is.
But if our minds are really that powerful, then why do we often feel so powerless?
Well, the video points to distraction.
Okay.
Like, think about it. We are constantly bombarded with information and stimulation, and
Oh, yeah.
our attention is just pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah.
It's like we can't focus on what we really want.
Right. It's like trying to meditate in Times Square.
Exactly.
So how do we regain that mental power?
Well, the video talks a lot about meditation. Okay. And not just for relaxation. It's more like training your mind.
So like a mental gym.
Exactly, a mental gym.
I like that.
So you're strengthening your attention span and your focus, and you're getting control over your thoughts.
Okay.
By quieting the mental chatter, you create space for conscious creation.
So instead of just meditating to chill out,
Yeah.
we're training our minds to be more powerful.
More powerful manifestors.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can already see how this can work in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what's the next principle we're looking at?
Well, next we have the principle of correspondence,
Okay.
which can be summed up with, as above, so below.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty catchy.
What does it mean?
Okay, so imagine the universe is like this giant mirror,
Okay.
and what's happening inside us is reflected outside of us, and vice versa.
Okay.
It's all about interconnectedness.
The video uses fractals as an example.
Right.
The same patterns in galaxies are also in seashells.
Exactly. Which is so cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
So, how does this apply to our personal lives?
Well, it highlights the importance of inner transformation.
Okay.
So if you want to change your outer world, you need to first change your inner world.
So if I'm always stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to attract more stressful situations.
Think of your inner state as a magnet.
Mm.
It's attracting experiences that match your thoughts and emotions and beliefs.
Okay.
So if you want peace and harmony in your life,
Yeah.
you need to cultivate that within yourself.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do that?
Pay attention to your habits.
Okay.
Even those small daily actions,
Right.
they can create huge effects.
So even little things like hitting snooze or choosing fries instead of a salad,
Yes,
those have an effect.
every thought, every action, every choice matters.
Wow.
The principle of correspondence reminds us that if we consciously choose actions that align with the reality that we want,
Mm-hmm.
we can shift our inner world.
And therefore our outer world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like self-improvement.
It-
What's next?
All right, so next up is everything vibrates.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It sounds very energetic.
It's all about energy.
Okay, tell me more.
So imagine everything around you, not as like solid objects, but
Mhm.
as energy that's constantly in motion.
Okay, I'm picturing.
Everything is vibrating.
It's a little trippy.
Yeah, but the really cool thing is that modern science actually supports this idea.
Right.
Yeah, quantum physics shows that particles are always vibrating.
Wow, so quantum physics is supporting ancient wisdom.
I know, right? And it goes beyond just physical matter.
Wait, so you're saying our thoughts and emotions also vibrate?
They do. Our thoughts and emotions are energy too,
Okay,
and they each have their own frequency.
that's amazing. How can we use that to improve our lives, though?
So if you want to attract positive experiences,
Yeah.
You need to raise your own vibrational frequency.
Wait, so I can actually change my reality by changing my vibe?
It's not magic, it's energy.
Okay.
So if you cultivate positive thoughts, emotions, and beliefs,
They shift your internal frequency.
and that changes what I attract.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. But how do we do that?
Well, it's actually pretty simple.
Okay.
Things like gratitude, spending time in nature, even just smiling more often.
Okay.
Those can all make a huge difference.
So if I'm feeling down, I can just put on some good music and think about what I'm grateful for.
Yes. It's all about shifting your energy.
That's so cool.
It is.
What's the next principle?
Okay, so the next one might seem a bit paradoxical.
Ooh, I like paradoxes.
Okay, well, this one is called the law of polarity.
Okay, tell me more.
So this principle states that everything has an opposite.
Like what?
Like light and dark, hot and cold, love and fear.
Okay.
Every force has an equal and opposite force.
Like Newton's third law.
Exactly.
But this goes beyond the physical world, right?
Yes. It also applies to our inner world.
To our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
So what's the practical application here?
So it's important to recognize that these opposites exist within us.
And by mastering our internal polarity, we can create more balance in our lives.
So it's not about suppressing negative emotions.
No, it's
Okay.
about finding balance between the extremes.
Okay, I think I get it.
Yeah.
So if I'm like super anxious about a presentation, I shouldn't try to force myself to be calm.
No, instead of resisting the anxiety,
Okay. Yeah.
acknowledge it and then focus on the positive.
So I could focus on how well I know the topic
Exactly.
or my ability to connect with the audience.
Yeah.
Instead of like spiraling about all the things that could go wrong.
Right. You're consciously choosing to focus on the positive
Okay.
to create a better experience.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's like we have a choice.
we do.
Okay. So next principle.
Okay, this one you might like.
Okay.
It's the principle of rhythm.
Okay.
So this one reminds us that everything flows in cycles.
Oh, yeah. Like the season.
Yes, exactly.
Or the tides or even like day and night.
Yes, just like nature. Our lives also flow in cycles.
That's true.
Yeah.
Some days I'm unstoppable and other days I can barely get out of bed.
Exactly.
So how do we like work with those cycles instead of fighting against them?
The key is to accept them.
Okay.
When you resist, you create more suffering.
It's like swimming upstream.
It is.
You get tired and you don't really get anywhere.
Right. So the Hermetic Principle of Rhythm teaches us to surrender to the natural cycles,
Okay.
to know that everything is temporary.
So when I'm feeling down,
Mm-hmm. Just remember that it won't last forever.
that's a comforting thought.
It is.
So how do we actually apply this to our lives?
Become more attuned to your own personal rhythms.
So like knowing when I have the most energy
Yeah, exactly.
and then planning my day around that.
And don't beat yourself up when you have low energy days.
Okay.
Just rest and know that your energy will return.
I like that a lot. So it's not about being happy and productive all the time.
Yeah.
It's more about finding balance.
Exactly.
All right. I'm ready for the next one.
Okay, so next we have the principle of cause and effect.
Ooh, does that mean everything happens for a reason?
Kind of. The Hermetic teachings suggest that nothing happens by chance.
Okay.
Every event, every experience is the result of a chain of causes and effects.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly.
But this operates on multiple levels, right?
It does.
What does that mean?
Well, on a physical level, we see this all the time. Like
Yeah.
if you drop a ball,
Mm-hmm.
it falls to the ground because of gravity.
Okay, basic physics.
Right. But the Hermetic teachings go deeper.
Okay.
They say that our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions also create causes
Okay.
that have effects on our reality.
So if I'm always thinking negative thoughts,
Yeah.
I'm going to have more negative experiences.
Your thoughts and beliefs create a vibrational frequency,
Okay.
and that frequency attracts experiences that match it.
Like I'm putting out a signal.
Exactly.
The universe is responding.
Yeah.
So where does karma fit into all of this?
Well, karma is basically the accumulation of all the causes that we've created.
So every thought and action I've ever had.
Pretty much. And it's not about punishment.
Okay.
It's about learning and growth.
But what about karma from past lives?
It's not about knowing the specifics of your past lives.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing patterns in your current life.
Right.
You can access this information through intuition
Right.
or meditation or even dream work.
So how can we use this principle to create a better reality?
Take responsibility for your choices.
No more blaming other people.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then become more mindful of your thoughts, actions, and intentions.
So if I want to experience more love,
Mm-hmm. I need to cultivate love in my thoughts and actions.
It's like I'm planting seeds.
You are.
And those seeds will eventually grow into the reality that I experience.
That's a great way to put it.
So we're not just victims of fate.
No.
We're creators.
Exactly.
I love that.
Me too.
Okay, what's the last principle?
All right, the final principle is the law of gender.
This one is going to need some explaining.
It is. It's probably the most misunderstood principle.
So we're not talking about male and female in the traditional sense.
Right. This is about the masculine and feminine principles that exist in everything.
Okay, tell me more.
So the masculine principle is associated with action, logic, direction, and outward expression. And the feminine principle is more about receptivity, intuition, nurturing, and creation.
So like the masculine is the spark.
Yeah.
And the feminine provides the environment for that spark to grow.
Exactly. And we see this dynamic in all aspects of life. Like writing a book.
Okay.
The masculine is the inspiration, and the feminine shapes those ideas into a story.
It's like the masculine is the architect.
Yes.
And the feminine is the builder.
I love that.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does this apply to us as individuals?
Each of us has both masculine and feminine energy inside of us.
Regardless of gender.
Exactly.
So it's about finding balance between those two forces.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about before.
Right.
So too much masculine without the feminine, and we become too driven.
Yeah, and maybe we lack creativity or nurturing.
And too much feminine without the masculine makes us passive.
Right.
So how do we find that balance?
It starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to how you approach life, your work, your relationships. Are you more action-oriented or receptive?
I think I'm more of a doer.
Okay.
Like I like to get things done.
So you have a strong masculine energy?
Yeah, I guess so.
But to create balance, you might want to try cultivating your feminine energy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do more meditation.
That's a great way to do it.
What about someone who's more on the feminine side?
Well, for them, setting clear goals and taking action can help.
Oh, okay.
Even learning to say no.
Right.
Those are all ways to strengthen the masculine energy.
So it's not about changing who we are.
No.
It's about bringing more balance.
Exactly.
This has been really eye-opening.
I'm glad.
I feel like I have a lot to think about now.
Me too. Welcome back to our deep dive.
We're picking up where we left off with the 7 Hermetic Principles.
Right. Looking at how we can actually use them in our lives.
And in part 1, we covered the first 6 principles.
We did mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm.
And cause and effect.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
We did. I'm already seeing how these principles can apply to my own life.
That's great.
So now we're going deeper into that 7th principle, the law of gender.
Yes.
And just as a reminder, we're not talking about male and female in the traditional sense.
No.
It's about those masculine and feminine principles that exist in everything.
That's right. Those two sides of the same coin. Those two forces that work together to create.
So where do we see those principles showing up in our lives?
Well, nature is a perfect example.
Right.
Like, think about the process of creation.
How so?
Well, take a tiny seed.
Okay.
That seed holds the potential for life.
Yeah.
It's like the blueprint for a whole plant.
Right.
That's the masculine principle at work.
The potential.
The impulse, the idea.
Okay, so where's the feminine?
Now imagine that seed landing in fertile soil.
Okay.
That soil receives the seed. It nourishes it.
Okay.
And it allows it to grow and blossom.
So that's the feminine.
That's the feminine.
Providing that space.
Providing the environment.
For the seed to grow.
Exactly.
So the masculine is like the spark.
Yeah.
And the feminine helps it come to life.
It does. And we see this everywhere.
Not just in nature.
No, not just in nature.
Give me another example.
Okay. How about writing a book?
Okay.
The masculine energy is the inspiration. The ideas, the drive to write it all down.
Okay.
But it's the feminine energy that shapes those ideas.
Into an actual story.
Exactly.
So the masculine is like the architect.
Yes.
And the feminine is the builder.
I love that analogy.
Me too. It's a good one.
It is.
So we've talked about nature.
Yeah.
And creative processes. But what about inside of us?
Okay, so each of us has both masculine and feminine energy.
No matter what our gender is. So it's about finding that balance.
That is.
Like we we're talking about before.
Right.
And if we have too much masculine energy,
yeah,
we become too driven.
We might lack creativity.
And if we have too much feminine energy,
yeah,
we become passive.
We might not take action.
So how do we actually find that balance?
Well, it all starts with self-awareness.
Go.
Pay attention to how you approach things.
Like my work.
Yeah, your work, your relationships.
Okay.
Are you more action-oriented or more receptive and intuitive?
I think I'm definitely more action-oriented.
You're a doer.
I like to get things done.
So you have that strong masculine energy.
That makes sense.
But to create balance, you might want to explore ways to cultivate your feminine energy.
Okay, I've been trying to meditate more.
That's perfect.
Is that a good way to do it?
Yeah, things like spending time in nature, listening to your intuition, even just taking a long bath.
Okay, so self-care.
Exactly. Those all nurture your feminine side.
What about people who are more passive?
Yeah, people who lean more towards the feminine, they might benefit from setting clear goals, making decisions confidently and taking action.
Even if it feels scary.
Even if it feels scary. And learning to say no.
So it's not about changing who we are.
No.
It's about integrating the parts of ourselves that we've been neglecting.
That's a great way to put it.
This is really fascinating.
It is.
I'm starting to see how understanding this principle can be so empowering.
It is. It's about embracing all of who you are.
Not just one side or the other.
Right.
It's like we're all walking paradoxes.
We are. We contain both the masculine and the feminine.
And when we embrace that, we can unlock our full potential.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're back and we're talking about finding that balance between the masculine and feminine energies.
Right. It's not enough to just know about this stuff. We have to actually apply it.
Yeah. So where do we even begin? Like, how can we put this law of gender into practice in our lives?
Well, think about your daily routine. Are you always rushing around focused on doing and achieving?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely guilty of that.
Or do you make time for rest and rejuvenation and connecting with your intuition?
I probably need to work on that.
It's all about noticing those little imbalances in your everyday life.
Yeah, I do tend to overdo it sometimes.
Well, remember, the feminine principle values rest and receptivity.
Right. It's not about being lazy.
No, it's about creating space for inspiration and creativity to flow.
So like taking a long bath or reading a book.
Exactly. Or spending time in nature, anything that helps you slow down and connect with yourself.
Okay, I can definitely make more time for that.
I think we all can.
Yeah, that's true. What about people who are more passive?
Yeah, for those who lean more towards the feminine energy, it's helpful to practice setting clear goals.
Okay.
And making decisions confidently and taking action.
Even if it feels a little scary.
Even if it feels scary. And learning to say no to things that drain your energy.
So it's all about finding that balance between action and receptivity. Pushing forward, but also allowing ourselves to be guided.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like we're not just one or the other.
We're both.
Right. And it's not about fitting into a box or anything.
No, it's about expanding our sense of self.
To encompass all of who we are.
Yes.
Wow, this has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I'm glad.
I feel so inspired to actually apply these principles to my life.
That's the goal.
It is. So it's not enough to just listen and be like, oh, that's cool.
Right. We have to take action.
We have to experiment and see what works for us.
Exactly. The Hermetic Principles are meant to be lived and experienced.
Not just studied.
Exactly.
So this has been incredible.
This has.
We covered so much ground.
Yeah. The 7 Hermetic Principles.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's all about finding that balance within ourselves.
And creating the reality that we want.
That's right. The power is within each of us.
I love that. So for our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring these principles.
Yeah. See how they show up in your life.
And don't be afraid to experiment and see what happens.
The results might surprise you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep creating the life you desire.